Hello ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much indeed for watching this short screen tutorial on how to answer the C question, the 8-mark question on paper 1 for the Edexcel IGCSE History in 2014. We have in front of us an example of such a question. It's question C for 8 marks, and the question we have here as our exemplar is: why was there opposition to the Weimar Republic in the years 1919 to 1923? Explain your answer. Now, the first thing to focus on and acknowledge is the fact it is a question that is asking you about causation, why things happen. In question B here, they're looking for an effects of an event. Here we're looking for what caused it. Now, an example of a cause in the real world would be David Moyes was sacked as manager of Manchester United. That's the event. A cause of that could be the fact that Manchester United's results prior to him being sacked weren't very good. So if we're asking why did David Moyes get sacked, well, it's the fact that the team weren't winning many games. So here, that is what we're looking for. Causation. Not events, not effects. Causation. So why was there opposition to the Weimar Republic in these years? So that is what we're looking for, and it's worth 8 marks. Okay, let's look at the success criteria for an 8-mark response. Here we go. Oops, not quite. Here it is. Right, okay, so we're looking for a level 3. We're looking to score 8 if at all possible, but definitely no less than 6. So we're looking for, in this instance, a developed explanation and analysis of causation. So again, looking for an explanation of why things happen. And it specifies here an explanation of factors, so more than one, factors, note the S, supported by precisely selected knowledge. So exactly the same as contextual knowledge or precise relevant knowledge. At this level, the explanation should show how the causes led to the outcome. So you want to look to show how the causes caused the event. In this case, unrest in the Weimar Republic between 1919 and 1923. Ignore this because this is not relevant to the question we're answering. Okay. Ignore that. Apologies. Right, so we're looking for 8 marks. Obviously, we want to score as high as possible. Now, the 8-mark threshold is reserved for answers and candidates which show how causes combined to produce an outcome. So how they're linked and how they were interconnected in causing this outcome. So how they combine to cause the outcome, which in this scenario is unrest. So we must have a developed explanation of causation. It needs to be supported with that precise knowledge. It should show how they combined. Okay, can we do that? Well, let's have a look at an answer that did from the 2013 exam, which answers this question right here. Why was there opposition to the Weimar Republic in 1919 to 1923? Okay, this is a high scoring answer. Now let's look at the positive elements of this answer so we can highlight those and incorporate those into our own practice. Now, what does the candidate do well? Now, we can see from the off the candidate is parroting the terminology of the question straight back at the examiner. One reason why there was opposition to the Weimar Republic between those years was because they agreed to the Versailles Peace Settlement. So the first element of causation is the Versailles Peace Settlement. But the candidate has really cleverly and quite simply proved that they're answering the question, that their answer is focused on it, by using the terminology and the phrasing of the question in their answer. So that's excellent. I, as an examiner, know that the question is going to be orientated, or the answer is going to be orientated around the question. The next exceptional piece of practice, or positive piece of practice to highlight, is the precise or relevant contextual knowledge here. So the treaty severely weakened the German army, and then they go on to give statistical and data-based evidence, and the examiner can't argue with those because it's factually correct and it's precise. So, weakened the army, limited it to 100,000 men, 15,000 sailors, 6 battleships, no submarines and no air force. Now that is precise contextual knowledge. It's relevant, it's accurate, and it is detailed. No examiner there can argue with that because it's correct and it's precise. They then go on to explain it, exactly what the mark scheme is after. Brilliant. So we have focused on the question, precise contextual or relevant knowledge, and then an explanation of how this piece of causation led to the outcome. They then replicate that for their second factor, because you need one factor linked to another and then a conclusion which shows how those outcomes combine. Our second factor is the Treaty of Versailles weakened Germany economically. So now they're looking at the economic impacts which caused the discontent in the Weimar Republic between 1919 and 1923. So economic factors, we have political to get us going up here, and then we have the economic factors. And the candidate repeats that process, the point, evidence, explain, keep the question and link. So they're using that terminology of the question, then they utilize some precise database statistical relevant contextual knowledge, the 6.6 billion figure that was set for Germany to pay in reparations or compensation. No examiner can argue with that because it is correct. They then, they then explain that, so showing how it's relevant to the answer. Excellent. Before, in their final paragraph, just reduce that down so we can get it all in, they then show how those factors combined to cause the outcome. So overall, agreeing to the Treaty of Versailles led to a growth in opposition due to it strongly weakening the German army and the German economy. So there we go. The examiner can, at a gaze, immediately see how those factors or pieces of causation have combined to cause that outcome, which is unrest in the Weimar Republic. The final piece of positive practice is that leading language the candidate uses all the way through. So we've got things like this led to, it also led to here. Oops. So forcing themselves to explain why these pieces of information are relevant, fully explaining their answer by using that handy trick of the leading language, thus they, etc. So a fully explained answer. Let's go back to the success criteria in the mark scheme. Let's have a look at it. We need a developed explanation of and analysis of causation. I think we've got that. We need an explanation of factors, so more than one. Have they got two? Yes, they have, because they've got the political factors and the economic as well. Supported by precisely selected knowledge. Do they have that? They certainly do. They've given the 100,000 limit to Germany's army, 6 battleships for the political factors. They've also given the 6.6 billion in reparations for the economic factors. So both factors there are supported by that precisely selected knowledge. They need to show at this level how the explanation should show how the causes led to the outcome. Does it do that? Yes, it does, because that final paragraph. And 8 marks are reserved for candidates or answers which show how causes combined to produce that outcome. If we look back at that answer, that is exactly what they do in that very, very short final paragraph beginning here. So there you go. We've got 2 factors with the conclusion. Now, one way I could maybe suggest improving this answer is adding a sentence or 2 here between your 2 factors to show how they're linked. So then you've got essentially 2 bites of the cherry, or 2 opportunities to show the Edexcel examiner that you demonstrated how those pieces of causation or those causation factors combine. So they've done it here, but you could do it there, and also just a linking sentence between the 2. Now, it doesn't matter if you do it in that first paragraph up here. It doesn't matter if you do it in that second paragraph. Wherever you do it, it doesn't matter. It will just give you a second bite of the cherry. And if the examiners miss or are not satisfied with your final explanation of how those pieces of causation link to reach an outcome, you've got an extra go here. Okay, then, so what would we give that answer? Well, probably 8 out of 8. It completely adheres to that success criteria or threshold here. So, thank you very much indeed for watching. I'd suggest you spend no more than sort of 10 to 12 minutes in the exam on this question. You don't want to go over that, because then you'll be bleeding all important time which you're going to need on the 10-mark question, which is still to come. So thanks for watching. For this tutorial and many others, please visit www.historychappy.com. Thank you and goodbye.